The transmission came without warning. Every screen on Earth, from the largest city display to the smallest wrist communicator, went black. Then a cold, alien voice spoke in a language no one had ever heard, yet somehow everyone understood. This is the Galactic Council. You have been judged. Your species will surrender unconditionally. Resist, and your world will be erased from the stars. The image that followed was even worse. A massive fleet of alien warships filled the screen, each one bigger than a human. City, their hulls shimmered with strange energy, weapons glowing like captured suns. It was the kind of power no one could stand against. Any other race in the galaxy would have fallen to their knees, but not Earth. In the war room, under the United Nations building, leaders from every major nation watched in silence. Generals exchanged glances. There was no panic, no pleading, no desperate scrambling for evacuation plans. Instead, there was something else, a flicker of amusement. Admiral Hayes leaned back in his chair and smirked. They really don't know, do they? President Valera's lips curved into a slow smile. No, they think we're prey. Across the world, the reaction was the same. Some people were afraid, of course. On social networks, memes appeared. Within minutes, images of the alien ships with captions like "parking spaces available" and "bring it on." Soldiers in military bases laughed, sharing old Earth war songs.
Right.
Humanity's confidence. It was not arrogance. It was based on something the Council couldn't possibly imagine. For decades, Earth had been preparing for this day. Long before the Council even knew humans existed, telescopes had spotted alien signals in deep space. Governments had gone quiet about the discovery, but they had acted. Technologies that the public thought were impossible had been developed. In secret, the space programs everyone knew about were just a cover for something much bigger. And now, the moment had come. The alien fleet's image froze on the screen. The Council's voice returned, sharper, colder. You have 3 days to comply. Your planetary defenses are irrelevant. Do not resist. Surrender, and you may live. The screen went black. Silence filled the room. President Valera turned to the comms officer. Open the channel. Camera activated, broadcasting Earth's reply across the galaxy. The president didn't read a speech. She didn't list demands. She simply leaned forward, her voice calm and clear. Come and take it. Then the transmission ended. The council members, sitting in their grand chamber light years away, were confused. No species had ever answered them like this. They assumed the humans were desperate, bluffing, or simply insane. The council's military commander, High Strategist Kiroth, almost laughed. They will break before the first volley is fired. He told his peers, but they didn't understand. On the moon, hidden beneath the surface, enormous hangar doors began to open. Massive black armored ships stirred in the darkness. On Mars, underground factories shifted into overdrive, producing weapons no alien had ever seen. In the asteroid belt, mines disguised as rock formations blinked to life, their systems humming. With deadly energy, humanity wasn't gathering for defense. It was setting the stage for a hunt. In the war room, a holographic map of the solar system rotated slowly. Red dots marked the alien fleet's projected path. Blue dots, humanity's assets, were scattered in places the Council didn't even know existed. Admiral Hayes studied the display, his fingers tapping on the table. They'll hit our sensors in 36 hours, he said.
Oh.
And that's when they'll start making mistakes. President Valera gave a small nod. Give them every opportunity to underestimate us. Outside in the streets, life went on almost normally. Children still went to school. Factories still ran. But under the surface, an electric tension filled the air. People knew something big was coming, but they also knew one thing for certain. Humanity was not going to bow. Somewhere in deep space, far beyond the reach of the alien fleet's sensors, a single human ship drifted in the darkness. Its hull carried no markings, no lights. Inside, its crew monitored the alien transmissions and ran silent weapon checks. Captain Rourke stood at the viewport, watching the faint shimmer of distant starlight. His voice was quiet, almost amused. They have no idea what they're walking into. By the time the alien fleet crossed Neptune's orbit, the whole planet would be ready. Every gun, every ship, every hidden weapon would be aimed at them. And when the first shot was fired, the galaxy would finally learn the truth. Humans didn't fear the Council. They were waiting for them. The alien armada entered the solar system like a moving wall of metal and light. From observatories on Earth to research stations on Pluto, every human eye that could see into the void watched in silence. The fleet was beyond anything humanity had ever faced. Warships so vast they could blot out the stars, bristling with weapons that pulsed with alien energy. For the Galactic Council, this was routine. They had done this to dozens of worlds before. Display of power so overwhelming that resistance became pointless. But something about the humans unsettled them. The Council's scouts reported no visible panic on Earth. Cities were calm, military. Bases showed no sign of last-minute evacuations. In fact, nothing about Earth's behavior made sense. High Strategist Kuroth stood on the command bridge of the Council's flagship Sovereign Fang, gazing at the tactical display. Primitive defenses, he muttered. No planetary shield, no orbital. Minefields. Not even a proper battle fleet. They will fold before we even fire. A junior officer approached. Sir, the humans' largest space stations went dark before we arrived. Their transmissions stopped. Kuroth barely glanced at him. Sign of fear. They hide, knowing it is hopeless. But it wasn't fear. Far from Earth, in the asteroid belt, entire clusters of rocks began to drift in strange, controlled patterns. On the surface of Mars, vast dust storms conveniently obscured human installations from alien scans. Near Jupiter, faint energy readings hinted at something, but the Council dismissed them as natural interference from the gas giants. Magnetic field. The humans had planned for this moment. Every blackout, every vanished station. Every strange energy spike was part of a carefully crafted trap. From a hidden command center on Mars, General Amina Clark studied real-time visuals of the alien fleet. Her eyes were sharp, her voice steady. They've entered firing range of our decoys. Let them hit those first. I want them thinking they're destroying our best assets. On Earth, the public broadcast channels continued showing the alien approach, complete with dramatic commentary. But instead of fear, the reaction was amused. Betting pools sprang up in bars and online forums. Guesses on how long the alien ships would last once the fighting began. In low Earth orbit, a massive human vessel, the ISS Dauntless, drifted silently. Its outer hull was disguised to look like a civilian station, but beneath the plating lay thick armor and weapon systems locked in standby. The crew moved with quiet precision, waiting for the signal that would unleash the first blow. Meanwhile, on the Sovereign Fang, Kuroth smiled. As the blue dot representing Earth grew larger on the main display, begin final approach. Ready the planet crackers. Their defiance will end in a single volley. None of the Council ships noticed the hundreds of faint sensor ghosts trailing them, Omen stealth craft hidden among chunks of ice and rock. They were already in position. In less than 48 hours, the Council would fire its first shot. In less than 49, they would learn why humanity had laughed. The Council fleet crossed the orbit of Saturn like a storm front rolling in from deep space. Their formation was flawless, rows upon rows of warships, escorts, and carriers, each one armed with weapons that had ended countless rebellions across the galaxy. From the bridge of the Sovereign Fang, High Strategist Kuroth prepared to deliver the first strike. Target their orbital platforms, he ordered. Let them witness the hopelessness of resistance. Sensors locked onto the largest human installation, a massive station near Mars. Alien gunners powered their weapons, preparing to erase it from existence. But before they could fire, something happened. From somewhere far beyond their sensor range, a single object moved. It was small compared to the Council's colossal warships, but it was traveling at impossible speed, a solid tungsten slug fired from a human railgun, hidden in the asteroid belt. The alien crews barely had time to register the warning alarms. Before it hit, the lead Council battleship, a vessel the size of a mountain, protected by the most advanced energy shields in the galaxy, was struck dead center. For an instant, its shimmering barrier flared bright white, and then shattered like glass. The slug tore through the warship's core, cutting it clean in half. Debris scattered in all directions, glowing red from the heat. On the Sovereign, Fang, silence gripped the bridge. No one had ever seen a council shield fail so instantly. No one believed it was possible. Report, Kiroth barked. Direct hit, catastrophic loss. The vigilant spear is gone, a stunned officer replied. The council commanders tried to rationalize it. Perhaps it was luck. Perhaps a rare flaw in the shields.
Oh.
No primitive race could possibly have calculated their frequency, yet that was exactly what had happened. A second slug fired. This one didn't just hit, it pierced another battleship and kept going, clipping a cruiser behind it. Now panic began to spread through the alien ranks. Ships shifted position, shields recalibrated, comes channels filled with frantic voices. In a hidden bunker under the Martian surface, General Clark watched the feed from orbital sensors. They're rattled, she said. Went in again before. They stabilize. Dozens of concealed human weapons opened fire from across the solar system. Railguns, mass drivers, and missile pods hidden on disguised platforms unleashed a coordinated barrage. Every shot was precise. Every impact found the weak points in the alien defenses on Earth. People watched live streams of the impossible, the so-called invincible fleet bleeding in the void, in the war room. Admiral Hayes leaned over the table, a small grin on his face. They came to end us with one shot, he said. Looks like we're returning the favor. The Council had wanted to intimidate humanity. Instead, they had given them the perfect target practice. The battle in deep space raged for hours. But something strange began to happen. In the middle of the Council's encrypted military channels, a sound started to play. At first it was faint, a low chuckle. Then it grew louder, echoing through every ship's speakers. It was unmistakable. It was human laughter. On the Sovereign Fang, officers looked at each other in confusion. What is this?
How are they?
On our comes? One demanded. The sound only grew bolder. Men and women laughing, as if they were watching something amusing, not fighting for survival. High Strategist Kiroth's jaw tightened. Shut it down, he snapped. But no one could. The transmission had infiltrated every frequency, every backup channel. Even the private command network was infected. For the alien crews, the effect was worse than any weapon. They were trained to face enemy fire, to endure heavy losses. But this was different. They could see their ships exploding, their shields failing, and through it all, the enemy laughed. On Mars, in the hidden command center, General Clark gave the order to keep the transmission running. Let them think we're enjoying ourselves, she said. Fear works better when it's personal. Meanwhile, the true star of the battle arrived. From the shadows beyond Pluto's orbit, a massive shape emerged, a warship unlike anything in the Council's databases. It was twice the length of their largest battleship, its black armor absorbing light, its surface bristling with heavy weapon arrays. Its name was painted in bold white letters across the hull. Titan, on the alien flagship, sensors went wild. The readings didn't make sense. The ship's armor density was off the charts, its power output unstable, its weapons beyond known limits. The Titan didn't announce itself. It simply fired. One beam of searing energy lanced across space, cutting through a Council dreadnought like it was paper. The alien fleet reeled as the human flagship advanced, its flanks guarded by smaller, fast-moving attack craft from Earth. The broadcast continued. People in homes, bars, and military stations watched as their flagship tore into the alien formation. The laughter in the background only grew louder, now joined by the voices of human crews shouting with excitement. The message was clear. Humanity wasn't just fighting back, they were enjoying it. And for the first time, the Galactic Council began to understand the danger. They had mistaken humanity's laughter for arrogance. It was actually the sound of predators who had just found prey. The Council believed they had finally regained control of the battle. Their damaged fleets regrouped near Jupiter, forming a tight sphere of overlapping shields. From their perspective, They had cornered the human forces between the gas giant and its moons. It was a textbook encirclement, one that had ended many rebellions before. High Strategist Kiroth watched the tactical display with satisfaction. The prey is trapped, he told his officers. Prepare for final eradication. But the humans weren't trapped. They were waiting. In Jupiter's upper atmosphere, storms, the size of continents, swirled with lightning and magnetism. 4 weeks before the invasion, human engineers had been working in secret, hiding massive weapon platforms within those clouds. Buried in the planet's electromagnetic chaos, the installations had been invisible to alien scans. Now, with a single, coded transmission, they woke up. From the depths of the storm, a wave of electromagnetic pulses exploded outward. The EMP shockwave ripped through the Council's formation, overloading shield generators, frying weapon controls, and killing engines. One by one, alien ships went dark, their lights snuffed out, as if an invisible hand had seized them. General Clark, commanding from the Titan, gave the next order: board them. Fast human assault craft darted forward, latching onto disabled Council vessels. Boarding teams in black armor stormed the airlocks, moving like shadows through the powerless corridors. On some ships, terrified alien crews surrendered without a fight. On others, brief bursts of gunfire echoed in the dark before silence returned. Inside, one captured cruiser, a Council commander, was dragged into the light. He was tall, scaled, and trembling. His eyes flicked from the human soldiers to the armor on their chests, each bearing the same white insignia, a stylized laughing skull. He was taken to the Titan's bridge, where Admiral Hayes regarded him with calm eyes. "You came here? Thinking we'd kneel?" Hayes said. "Thought the galaxy's rules applied to us." The alien said nothing, but his fear was obvious. Hayes leaned closer. "We still haven't started trying." From Earth, a short transmission was sent across every open channel in the alien network. It contained no threats, no military boasting, just 2 words. Delivered in a voice dripping with amusement, still laughing. On the Council's flagship, Kiroth's claws dug into the armrest of his command chair. This was no longer an invasion. This was a hunt, and they were the ones being hunted. On the Council's homeworld, chaos erupted. High chambers that had once echoed with calm authority were now filled with shouting, accusation, and fear. Some leaders demanded immediate withdrawal, convinced that the humans' sudden mastery of their defenses was some miracle or accident. Others, fueled by pride and arrogance, insisted on launching a total annihilation strike, the kind that would have vaporized Earth and erased every trace of human life. High Strategist Kiroth stood in the center of the debate, his scaled face pale with tension. "Do you not understand? They are not weak. They are not disorganized. Every step we have taken has been anticipated. Every attack we have launched has failed before it even reached them." Tall, metallic-skinned alien named Vorin sneered. "We have crushed hundreds of worlds. One planet of humans cannot withstand our might. Launch the super weapon fleet. End them before they grow bold." Kiroth's eyes narrowed. "Bold. They are already inside our systems. They have crippled our fleets, taken our ships, and infiltrated our communications. But your arrogance blinds. Every delay cost us more than you imagine." But it was too late. The humans had already anticipated this. Hidden human fleets executed instantaneous warp jumps, appearing in positions the Council thought impossible. Their warships moved with unnatural speed, striking at the superweap on carriers before they could assemble fully. The Titan, humanity's flagship, led the charge. Its weapons were designed not just to destroy, but to bypass even the most advanced alien shields. In seconds, a superweapon carrier disintegrated, its core detonating in a burst of energy that sent shockwaves across nearby vessels. From the Council's central command, panic spread like wildfire. Communications broke down. Sensor networks failed. Even the most heavily armed ships were suddenly vulnerable to human attacks that seemed to come from every direction at once. On the bridge of the Titan, Admiral Hayes watched as the alien formations crumbled. "They thought they could intimidate us with fear," he said. They thought they could outgun us. They were wrong. The humans weren't just fighting for survival. They were teaching a lesson. For the first time in recorded history, a single species had turned the Galactic Council's greatest superweapon against them and survived. Every officer, every soldier, every human watching from Earth and hidden stations knew the truth. Humanity had been ready for this war long before the Council even knew they existed, and now the galaxy was beginning to understand something it had never considered. Humans were not a species to underestimate. They were a force that could not be controlled. And the Titan had just opened the door. The humans didn't stop at the edges of their solar system. For the first time in history, human fleets jumped into the heart of the Galactic Council's core systems. Worlds that had never known conflict were suddenly under observation by vessels that dwarfed the largest Council cruisers. Prey had become the predator. Council fleets scrambled to respond, but their formation was chaos. Ships that were once symbols of absolute power were being hunted, struck from angles no tactics manual could predict. Every strike by the humans was precise, every maneuver calculated. They moved like shadows, appearing where they were least expected, and disappearing before the Council could react. In one occupied Council world, high-ranking officials watched in disbelief as the human forces dismantled orbital defenses. Cities that had been secure for centuries fell under invisible assault. Their communication grids hacked, their fleets commandeered, and their soldiers, paralyzed by psychological warfare, broadcast directly into their networks. The Titan led the charge, its black hull cutting through space like a phantom. Smaller human vessels flanked it, striking Council outposts and stations simultaneously. Within hours, the Council's command network collapsed. Orders went unanswered, fleets drifted aimlessly, and panic became the dominant strategy. Some of the Council races, witnessing the devastating effectiveness of humanity, secretly reached out with offers of alliance. They feared the humans, but they also saw opportunity to survive. They must now serve. From the bridge of the Titan, Admiral Hayes surveyed the systems below. His voice was calm, almost conversational. "Prepare the ultimatum," he said. "It's time they understand who decides now." Humanity's counterattack was not just military, it was symbolic. Every move sent a message. Earth's defenders were no longer confined to their planet. They were the hunters now. The galaxy's so-called greatest power had become their quarry. In the Council's capital, leaders huddled in fear. For the first time, the invincible armada was powerless against a single species. Every calculation, every assumption, every belief about humans had been shattered, and somewhere deep in space, the humans prepared to deliver the final word. This was not surrender. This was judgment. The Galactic Council had demanded Earth's surrender. Standing in the ruins of their capital, finally understood the meaning of defiance. Every chamber that once rang with authority now echoed with fear and disbelief. Ships that had dominated star systems were either destroyed or under human control. Communications that had once flowed seamlessly across the Empire were silent. For the first time in their history, the Council was powerless. On the Titans, Bridge Admiral Hayes observed the chaos with quiet authority. Around him, human crews prepared for the final transmission. This was not a threat. This was a message. President Valera's voice, calm and unwavering, carried across the galaxy through every available channel. "You demanded our surrender," she said. "You expected fear. You expected compliance. You received none. Today you learn that humanity bows to no one." Council leaders, trapped in their once-proud capital, watched helplessly. Their eyes were wide with disbelief. They had underestimated a species they thought primitive, a species they believed could be crushed with a single volley. Every moment of arrogance had been their undoing. The message continued, deliberate and firm. "Your fleets are broken. Your cities are exposed. Your systems have been infiltrated. The galaxy will no longer bow to your rule. From this moment, humanity decides who survives, who thrives, and who falls." On the streets of Earth, people watched transmissions from the edge of the Council's empire. Across nations, there was no jubilation, no hysteria, only the quiet. Confident understanding that humanity had claimed its place among the stars. The Council attempted to reply, to negotiate, to plead for mercy. But humanity's terms were simple: end the empire, free the enslaved worlds, and exile the ruling elite. There would be no compromise. There would be no weakness. And then the final words echoed throughout the galaxy: we do not bow, do not break, and we do not stop laughing. Some alien survivors whispered among themselves, terrified and humbled. The species they had sought to dominate had rewritten every rule in the galaxy. Humans had turned defiance into victory, laughter into a weapon, and hope into a force no empire could ignore. The Galactic Council was finished. Earth had not only survived, it had awakened the galaxy to a truth long ignored. Humanity was a predator among the stars, and it had just begun to hunt.